There are two kinds of battleships which really close to my heart. The ironclads with a steampunk looking design but actually existing in real life, and dreadnoughts. When you have a ship class that appeared at the time when the ironclads were still in sort of favor but coming to an end, same time the dreadnoughts already started to appear, then you get the semi-dreadnoughts, which for I am all in. What a coincidence that the topic of today's video is one of these ship class, the Radetzky class from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The Radetzky class was a group of 3 semi-dreadnought battleships built between 1907 and 1910. All ships were built in Triest and they were the last pre-dreadnoughts built by the Austro-Hungarians. The class included 3 ships: the Radetzky, the Erzherzog Franz Ferdinand and the Zrínyi. They were armed with 4 30.5 cm guns in 2 twin turrets and 8 24 cm guns in 4 twin turrets. Design work for a new class of battleships started about 2 weeks after the launching of the SMS Erzherzog Friedrich in April of 1904. By the end of July of 1905, the Austrian Commander-in-Chief of Navy, Admiral Montecuccoli, laid out his vision for an expanded Austro-Hungarian fleet. This included 12 battleships, 4 armored cruisers, 8 scout cruisers, 18 destroyers, 36 large torpedo boats and 6 submarines. A Navy design board evaluated 5 designs for the new battleship type between 25th and 29th of September 1905. By the time design work began on the Radetzky class, which was a semi-dreadnought type ship, a number of foreign navies had moved to adopt very heavy secondary battery guns, usually calibers in the range of 203 to 254 mm, and this trend influenced the Austro-Hungarian design staff. The leader of the design staff, Siegfried Popper, advocated the construction of all big gun ships. However, Austro-Hungarian dock facilities at the time limited the displacement to Popper eventually relented after admitting that the larger dreadnought type design would also warrant the construction of a new floating dry dock, which would significantly increase the cost of the project. But do you know what did not increase the cost? Subscribing to my channel, because it's free, not like these ships were. Anyway, back to the topic. The design board selected the final design with the main guns being the 4 305mm Skoda guns in twin turrets. Also the secondary guns were increased in caliber from 19 cm to 24 cm. The 30.5 cm gun was chosen because the breech of the new 28 cm was quite unreliable. Underwater protection was also emphasized. Between August and November of 1906, the Austro-Hungarian Navy conducted explosive tests using the 30-year-old ironclad called Kaiser Max. The tests were generally unsuccessful, so Popper had to devise a mathematical model to predict the strength of the underwater protection system would require to protect the new battleships. The ships were ultimately equipped with an armored double bottom for defense against mines and torpedoes. The Radetzky class ships were 138.8 meters long. They had a beam of 24.6 meters and a draft of 8.1 meters. The ships were designed to displace 14,508 long tons under normal conditions and up to 15,845 long tons with a full combat load. She was powered by 2 4-cylinder vertical triple expansion engines. Each engine was powered by 6 boilers. Power output was 19,800 indicated horsepower and could reach a top speed of 20.5 knots, which is around 38 km per hour. The ships carried 1,350 long tons of coal, which enabled a maximum range of 4,000 nautical miles, which is around 7,400 km at the cruising speed of 10 knots. The Radetzky class ships carried a main battery of 4 30.5 cm guns in 2 twin gun turrets on both ends of the ship. The guns were built by Skoda in Pilsen. They were capable of a rate of fire 3 shells in the first minute and then 1 to 2 rounds per minute afterward. The guns fired armor-piercing 450 kg heavy shells with a muzzle velocity of 800 meters per second. The turrets could depress to -3 degrees and elevate to 20 degrees. At the maximum elevation, the guns could hit a target around 20 km away. Although the number sounds very good, These turrets suffered from a number of design faults, for example the two large cupolas on the top, which if it was hit by gunfire, the thin top armor could be peeled back. Another serious issue, and this is the weirdest one as this is just literally doing exactly what it was built to prevent, was the defect in the ventilation system. When the turret was being ventilated under combat conditions, the system would duct toxic propellant gas into the gun house. It was estimated that the turrets contained only 15 minutes of oxygen once the ventilation system was activated. Well, at this stage, what is even the point of having a ventilation system? The ships carried a heavy secondary battery of 8 24cm guns in 4 twin turrets. The turrets were mounted in the middle around the structure of the ship, 2 on either side. These guns had nearly half of the penetration power of the larger 30.5cm guns and approximately a 15km range. The secondary armament was supported by further 20 10cm L50 guns in single mounts. These guns fired 26.2 kg shells at the rate of fire between 8 to 10 rounds per minute. The shells could hit targets up to 11 km. All Radetzky class ships also carried several smaller guns, including 2 66mm S-18 landing guns, 4 47mm L-44 and 1 47mm L-33 quick-firing guns. After refits in 1916-1917, each ship had 4 Skoda 7cm K-16 anti-aircraft guns installed. Other than traditional artilleries, these ships also carried 3 45cm torpedo tubes, 2 on the beams and 1 in the stern. These ships received a strong armor belt that was 230mm thick in the central portion of the ship, where it protected the ammunition magazines, machinery spaces and other critical areas of the ship. Forward and to the rear of the main battery barbettes, the belt reduced in thickness to around 100mm. As an underwater protection, a 54mm thick torpedo bulkhead ran the length of the hull to provide a second layer of underwater protection. The armor deck was 48mm thick and supported by a sloped deck that was also 48mm. The main battery turrets were heavily armored, except the design error I mentioned earlier. The sides and face were 250mm thick, while the roofs were 60mm thick. The turrets for the secondary 24cm guns had slightly less armor with 200mm thick sides and 50mm thick roofs. The casemates that mounted the 10cm guns were protected with the 120mm armor plating. The armored conning tower had 250mm thick side armor and 100mm thick roof armor. 3 Radetzky class battleships were assigned to the 2nd division of the 1st battle squadron alongside the Tegetov class ships in the 1st division. The 3 ships conducted several training cruises in the Mediterranean Sea after their commissioning in 1910 and 1911. The SMS Radetzky was present during the British Coronation Review at Spithead in 1911. In 1912 and the following years, not much happened other than some more training and taking part in an international naval demonstration to protest the ongoing Balkan Wars. Interestingly, during this operation, the first seaplanes to be launched from a warship in combat were operated from the Radetzky class ships. Following the outbreak of World War I, the assistance of the Austro-Hungarian fleet was required to help the German Mediterranean division, which consisted of the battlecruiser SMS Göben and the light cruiser SMS Breslau. The German ships were attempting to break out from the port of Messina in Sicily, where they were stopped to refuel. British ships started to assemble just around the city of Messina in an attempt to trap the Germans. At this point, Italy was still aligned with the Central Powers, but acting neutrally. Although the Austro-Hungarian Empire had not yet fully mobilized its fleet, the 3 Radetzky class and 3 Tegetov class ships with several cruisers and smaller crafts were available for action. The Austro-Hungarian High Command at this point was still trying to avoid an open conflict with Great Britain, hence ordered the fleet to avoid the British ships and only openly support the Germans while they were in Austro-Hungarian waters. On 7th of August, the Germans broke out of Messina, and at this point the Austro-Hungarian fleet sailed as far south as Brindisi before returning to their port. In October of 1914, the French army established artillery batteries on Mount Lovćen in Montenegro to support the army against the Austro-Hungarian army at Cattaro. By the time they were operational on 15th of October, the Austro-Hungarian Navy dispatched the Habsburg class pre-dreadnoughts to fight them. However, the 24-centimeter guns were not strong enough to silence the French artillery batteries. Due to this, the SMS Radetzky was sent to assist them. On 21st of October, the ship arrived and the gunfire from her 30.5-centimeter guns forced the French to abandon their position. Next time they seen action on 24th of May of 1915, all three ships bombarded the Italian coast, including the important naval base at Ancona, following Italy entering the war on the side of the Triple Entente. Although these ships performed well and carried out their missions without any loss or casualties, the High Command decided not to utilize the Navy at all other than the U-boat fleet and some smaller vessels. Hence, these ships also spent the war moored up in port. After the war, all three ships were handed over to Italy. The Radetzky and the Zrínyi were broken up in Italy between 1920 and 1921. Erzherzog Franz Ferdinand survived until 1926, then she was also scrapped. Commissioned only a few years before the outbreak of World War I, these ships did not see much action. And after Italy declared the war on Austria-Hungary and on the Central Powers in 1915, the three Radetzky class ships bombarded coastal targets in the Adriatic Sea. After 1915, the participation in the war became minimal, and finally they were handed to Italy, where they were scrapped, which is a very sad end to a once mighty battleship class. However, with this we arrived to the end of the video. Thank you for joining me and see you in the next one.